Welcome to another Ziva Math video. In this video, we will learn the one rule for adding decimals and practice how to add numbers with decimals. Grab your paper and pencil and let's take a look at our first problem. The only rule you need to remember when adding numbers with decimals in them is to line up the decimal. So if I'm looking at 19 and 378 thousandths and 6 and 51 thousandths, then I'm going to rewrite the problem, stacking the numbers up vertically and lining up the decimal. This keeps my digits lined up, so the ones are lined up, the tens, and everything behind the decimal as well with your tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. And then you're going to add just like you did with whole numbers. So 8 plus 1 is 9, 7 plus 5 is 12. We're going to carry that 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. I'm keeping my decimal lined up in my sum as well, so we're going to place our decimal. 9 plus 6 is 15. We'll carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we have a sum of 25 and 429 thousandths. And again, notice that I set up the problem with the decimals lined up, and I kept the decimal lined up in my sum. For our next problem, we have 8 and 12 hundredths plus 53 and 75 thousandths. And we just talked about our addition of decimals rule, which was to line up our decimals. And in this problem, we're going to want to rewrite our problem vertically, but let's talk about which number we want to place on top. So remember, you have a commutative property of addition that says 2 plus 3 equals 5, but 3 plus 2 also equals 5. So it doesn't matter which number we place on top when we rewrite this problem vertically. So when I look at these numbers, I see that in front of the decimal in 8 and 12 hundredths, I have one digit, and in the 53 and 75 hundredths, I have two digits. So that makes me want to put the 53 and 75 hundredths on top, rewriting this problem, making sure that I've lined the decimal up. Now, if I look closely, I see that I have a space underneath the 5 in my 75 thousandths. So you may want to put a placeholder 0 underneath that 5 to help you keep every single digit lined up. Then I can clearly see which numbers I have lined up and where I need to start. I'm going to start on the right with 5 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 2 is 9. 0 plus 1 is 1. I'm keeping my decimal points lined up. 8 plus 3 is 11. I'll carry my 1. And 5 plus 1 is 6 for a sum of 61 and 195 thousandths. Again, taking note that you're keeping your decimal lined up in your problem and also in your sum. For our next problem, we have 7 and 3/10 plus 4 and 5 thousandths. So again, I need to rewrite this problem vertically, following that rule of keeping my decimals lined up. And I need to think about that commutative property and which of my add-ins makes sense to put on top. Well, this time I've got one digit in front of the decimal in each of my add-ins, and I've got three digits behind the 4 and one digit behind the 7. So I'm going to put the 4 and 5 thousandths on top, making sure that I'm keeping my decimal points lined up when I put the 7 and 3/10 on the bottom. And when I go to add, I notice I've got these two spaces here, putting in these placeholder zeros. So you can keep your tenths, hundredths, and thousandths places lined up is really helpful. Then I see that I have 5 plus 0 is 5, 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 3 is 3. I'm going to keep my decimal point lined up in my sum as well, and 7 plus 4 is 11. In my sum, I get 11 and 305 thousandths. Again, remembering to keep the decimal in the problem and in the sum lined up. Our next example, we have 7 and 945 thousandths and 634 and 28 hundredths. And again, I have the choice of which number I want to put on top when rewriting my problem vertically, just making sure that I keep my decimals lined up. So when I look at these numbers, I have one digit in the 7 and 945 thousandths in front of the decimal, and I have three digits in 634 and 28 hundredths. So I'm going to put the 634 and 28 hundredths on top, making sure that as I rewrite my problem, I keep my decimal points lined up. And I also noticed that above the 5, I have a space. I can put one of those space holder zeros there in order to keep my digits lined up to start adding. So 0 plus 5 is 5. 8 plus 4 is 12. I'll carry the 1. 9 plus 2 plus 1 is 12. I'm going to put my decimal point in my sum, keeping everything lined up. Carry the 1. 7 plus 4 plus 1 is 12. We'll carry a 1 again. 3 plus 1 is 4. And 6 plus 0 is 6. So I have a sum of 642 and 225 thousandths. Again, making note that I have kept my decimal in my problem and in my sum lined up. So what about when we have a decimal and we're adding a whole number to it? Well, in this example, I have 17 and 38 hundredths plus 65. And that rule is that we line up our decimals when adding numbers with decimals. So the question is, where is the decimal in the whole number 65? Well, remember, the decimal is at the end. So when I rewrite this problem stacking it vertically, I'm going to put the decimal after the 65 at the end so I can have my decimals lined up in my problem. And then I'm going to place these placeholder zeros there just so I can have the tenths and the hundredths lined up. Then I'm going to go ahead and add. So I have 8 plus 0 is 8. 3 plus 0 is 3. I will keep my decimal and my sum lined up as well. 7 plus 5 is 12. We'll carry a 1. And 6 plus 1 is 8. So my sum is 82 and 38 hundredths. Again, I put the decimal where it belongs and the whole number 65, lined up my decimals to do my addition and made sure my decimal and my sum is lined up as well. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to Ziva Math for more videos.